What's going on YouTube? Welcome in, I'm LuboATM and welcome to this week's Shrine of Secrets discussion. This is a weekly video we have on the channel where we go through this week's shrine, all of the perks on it, and whether it's worth you spending your hard-earned shards on the perks that are there. So let's get jumped right into the shrine this week. It's a bit of a mixed bag, let's just put that out there straight to begin with. So yeah, we're going to have probably some clear recommendations at the end of this for you. So as always, we start at the top. We've got Balanced Landing. So Balanced Landing is one of the exhaustion perks. It reduces your stagger from falling from objects and your grunts of pain, and then gives you a speed boost when you land of 150%. You then become exhausted and you cannot use Balanced Landing until your exhaustion has passed. So as always, exhaustion perks in game are always good. It helps you extend chases, it helps you get out of sticky situations. A lot of people clarify this as one of the weaker exhaustion perks. I tend to disagree personally. I really like Balanced Landing. I think you can get a lot of use out of it in clutch situations. On certain maps it's ridiculously good, like Hattonfield, and some of the other kind of two-story ones that got like tall buildings or two stories. It comes in really handy. Like the Coal Tower as well on Macmillan, very good perk to have on that map. So I think it's really good. It doesn't need paired with anything. It doesn't really need to synergize with anything. You can just have this as a standalone perk in your build to use as and when it's needed. The next Survivor perk is a Felix Teachable, which is built to last, which is... Yeah. I'm just going to say that. That's the noise. That's the full review of this perk, guys. Just that one noise I made. No, being serious. So what it does is it replenishes any item you bring in a trial back to an X amount of percent after a certain amount of seconds once you've used it all. So for example, I think tier 3 puts up to maybe 50%. It's 40 or 50%. So like if you use a full med kit and you are maybe a couple of charges short of being full healed, this will then replenish your med kit and you can finish off that heal. So on paper it sounds really good, but I just don't like it. It's just a personal thing. There are people I know. Starva done a whole series of streams and videos on Built to Last and its benefits and stuff like that. I just don't like it. I think it's so situational. Like it's very situational. Like you would only really want to use this on probably a med kit, getting 50% of your toolbox back, unless you're going for Sabo plays. Isn't going to really progress a lot on a generator. It could come in handy, I suppose. You're not going to use it on keys. You're not going to use it on maps. You could potentially use it on flashlights, but how many people are fully burning out a flashlight in a trial? You know what I mean? It's so situational, and it's heavily dependent on the situation. Like if you come into a trial and you get hooked and you get healed straight off hook, then you're not going to need to use your medkit, which means this perk's just taking up a slot. I just think it's very... Since you only have 4 perk slots, I think if you're doing it for a laugh or you're having a fun build, you're putting a cool build together, I think this could be added in for a bit of fun. But I think if you're trying to do like a genuine serious build and trying to win games, this is so situational, it just takes up a perk slot for me. Again, that's just my opinion, but I'm not the biggest fan of this. I don't know why it's worth 2,700 shards compared to the rest. Yeah, I don't know why. The third perk is a Hag Teachable, and the first killer one on the shrine this week, which is Hex the Third Seal. So basically what it does, if you hit someone with a basic attack, it inflicts the blindness status effect. So I think when you get up to tier 3 on that, it's on all 4 survivors. So if you hit all 4 survivors with a basic attack, they're all blind until they break the totem, which means they can't see hooked survivors when they're on the ground. They can't see the auras of their teammates. It removes all aura reading from them, except from, I believe, the pig boxes and the plague fountains. I think they're the only 2 auras that you can still see while if you're afflicted by blindness with the third seal. So this is a kind of middle ground perk for me. I think it's certainly high risk, high reward. But to me, the high risk isn't losing your totem. The high risk is playing against a survivor with friends. Because if you're playing against survivor with friends, they're going to be able to speak on comms or speak to their teammates and explain where they are, which takes away the blindness effect. Like, so if you hook someone, say, on a hook behind Shack, and they're going, right, okay, everyone's blind, they're not going to know where this person is, they're going to have to look for them for ages, and they're on comms, they're just going to say, hey, by the way, I'm on the hook behind, or the hook behind Shack, come get me. You know what I mean? And it completely eradicates this perk for you. So I think the risk for this is playing against a survivor with friends rather than breaking your totem. Because you know when you're going into a game with a hex totem, there's always a chance it could get broken and you're going to lose it. You're taking that risk when you do it, but the risk that you don't know and you're not going to know most times is if you're up against a survivor with friends or not. Which can really kind of destroy this perk for you. But the reward is that you can really have some fun with this. You can have like a knocked out third seal combo, so everyone's blind and can't see anything, and then obviously like when people are on the ground, you know what I mean. Like you can do like a lot of fun builds with this. It can be really good in hex build as well, especially if you're looking at like Devour Hope. You can take away any perks or things like that could reveal your totems. Yeah, I think you can certainly have fun with it. Again, it's probably the same as Built to Last. I think if you're going for a serious build to try and win the game, this is probably not the kind of perk you're going to go with. But if you're having a mess around and you're trying out some new things, you can certainly have fun with this, especially if you're against a bunch of solo queuers, because you can really take advantage of the fact that they're playing in isolation and take their aura reading and their visibility away from them. You can also, again, another thing you can do with this is you can pair it with add-ons or perks that give you the undetectable status effect, and especially if everyone's blind and then you have no terror radius, you can have a lot of fun with like peekaboo style gameplay or that sort of stuff. I think it's just a really fun perk if you can get it to pull off. But I think with the amount of people who play with friends just now, just kind of make it a bit meh. And the final perk on the shrine this week is the Nurse's Teachable and Nurse's Calling. So this is pretty straightforward. It reveals the aura of any survivors who are healing or being healed within an X amount of meter range. This is just going to be blatantly honest with it. It's just a really good perk. It's if you're on especially a killer who inflicts a lot of damage to a lot of survivors. So if you're gaining a lot of health states, so like as you kind of would want to do with a Legion or a Wraith or a Nurse, ironically, and you're getting a lot of people injured a lot of the time, then you can catch people out when they go to heal. The amount of games I've had playing killer, especially as like a Wraith or something, where you're stealthing around the map and you just randomly come into that range and you happen to see two people healing behind a rock, and you can kind of take advantage of that. Again, there's not really a lot. You can run it standalone. You can run it paired with stuff. I think probably the most obvious combo I would think is pairing this with Sloppy Butcher, because you're extending the healing time. So if you've got a perk that reads auras while they're healing, and you can inflict like the Mangled Hemorrhage effect and then make the healing longer, then you know that's probably the obvious combo. But you can also just run it as a standalone one. If you want, I sometimes include it in my Huntress builds as well, because aura reading's obviously good for cross maps. There's a lot of good things you can do with this perk, and I've got to say I'm a really big fan. So that is this week's shrine, guys. That is this week's shrine in a nutshell. So I think if we're going to be honest, we usually do the one survivor and one killer to recommend. I would say these two are your go-to this week. Your Balanced Landing and your Nurse's Call, and they're the ones I would go for. They're the ones I'd prioritise. If you want, you could go for these two if you're going for a completionist or whatever, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would either say spend it if you can get the blood points, or you can save it to next week. I would do that rather than spend 2,000 or 2,700 shards on these two and then be short next week. But if you don't have these two, I would highly recommend getting these two perks. They work very well. They're good solo perks. They don't need to really synergize with anything. They're just really good additions to your kind of perk backlog, if you will. And yeah, that's all there really is to say. There's not a lot to really cover. I think it's a very good split of too good, too bad, or not too good, too bad, but two clear winners, and then two kind of if you really want to. So yeah, that's been the Shrine of Secrets discussion this week, guys. As always, I've been LiboATM. Thank you so much for joining me. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps with the algorithms as a new content creator. If you want to watch me be a boosted piece of garbage over on Twitch a couple of times a week, my channel is twitch.tv/LiboATM, so come check me out over there. And until next time, guys, peace.